Right now on Upfront.
Mid-air collision.
We are going to leave no stone unturned.
The deadly D.C. plane crash. New Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, a Wisconsinite, just hours into the job.
Do I think this was preventable? Absolutely.
Now the investigation. Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, a member of the Senate Transportation Committee, joins us exclusively.
The new DNC chair.
And we're going to fight for working people again in this party.
Minnesota's Ken Martin beating out Wisconsin's Ben Wickler to lead the party forward this weekend. We're inside the vote and the new reaction from the Wisconsin delegation.
I think a lot of pride, right? Very proud of the race that Ben ran.
Immigration crackdown.
The more money we have, the better successful we're going to be, right?
Increased ICE raids nationwide, including in Chicago. Now the inside look at Wisconsin's only ICE detention facility.
In the last week, we received more, just like the week before that and the week before that.
The sheriff overseeing it all is with us one-on-one.
All that, plus the January 6th Capitol Police officer in Wisconsin, his interview with us, and the license loophole fix. The new changes from our investigation just revealed.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A busy weekend from Washington to Wisconsin. We'll get to it all. That high-stakes vote for DNC chair yesterday and the latest on the immigration crackdown.
But first, the deadly mid-air collision over the nation's capital. This weekend, lawmakers and the Trump administration promising a thorough investigation into how a military Black Hawk collided with a passenger plane, killing 67 people. Initial FAA reports obtained by the New York Times and the Associated Press show the control tower was understaffed the night of the deadly crash. Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, a member of the Senate Commerce and Transportation Committee, joins us now. Senator Baldwin, thanks for being here.
I'm glad to join you. And what a devastating tragedy that was. My heart is with the victims and their families, and very much want to see the results of the investigation that the National Transportation Safety Board will be doing.
Have you received a briefing yet? What is the latest that you know on the investigation?
I expect to be briefed probably next week with fellow members of our committee, most likely by the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board. We are obviously following closely what has been made public. You mentioned the staffing issue, but also the issue of the helicopter operating outside of its usual course and at an elevation that is not typically reached when they're traversing the Potomac River.
And to those things, Senator, specifically the staffing issue, what do you make of that and the initial reporting surrounding it?
Well, they did release some of the audio of the air traffic controller speaking with the folks operating the Black Hawk helicopter, and they were advised to avoid the incoming plane. They responded to the contact from the tower, and so it appears the air traffic controller gave the appropriate warnings.
Senator Baldwin, we know that Senator Ted Cruz is the chair of the Transportation Committee that you're on. They have oversight of the FAA, the DOT as well. He said that he expects a thorough investigation here. Would you like to see the committee perform its own investigation into this incident?
I don't think that the committee has the expertise that the National Transportation Safety Board has. And so I think that we should wait for their investigation. You know, the last time there was a deadly crash in the United States was back in 2009. And the NTSB did a very thorough investigation of the circumstances there. And it resulted in several policy changes, especially with regard to the number of hours that a pilot has to train before they can be a pilot on a commercial airliner. And there were other changes that were made as a result of that investigation. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there are recommendations after this investigation that our committee would play a significant role in implementing.
This happened literally hours after Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was sworn in. You backed his confirmation, a fellow Wisconsinite. I'm curious how you think he is doing. Does the agency have enough resources at this moment?
Well, certainly there are issues of resources and personnel. I know that air traffic controllers are working long hours because there is a shortage and we need more in the pipeline so that we can fully staff all of our air towers. But I also, by the way, would say that this is because of the involvement of a military aircraft. This also obviously involves the Department of Defense, too.
President Trump has implied that DEI initiatives could be to blame for this crash. What do you make of those comments, and do you think that Biden-era policies could have contributed here?
I thought that the president's press conference and comments were wholly inappropriate. Those comments were beneath what should be spoken by a United States president, and I was very, very offended by what he had to say.
Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, member of the Commerce and Transportation Committee. Senator, like always, thank you.
Thank you.
Now to the high-stakes race to be the next Democratic Party of Wisconsin chair. Democratic Party of Wisconsin chairman Ben Wickler falling short in his bid to Minnesota's Ken Martin. That vote just coming in Saturday during the DNC winter meeting in Maryland. Martin winning a majority of the DNC's 448-member votes. Wickler coming in second, despite the high-profile endorsements from House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
To all of the candidates who put themselves out there these past few months, I know how much they worked on this. As I said from the beginning, I'm not running against them any more than they were running against us. And it is my guarantee to each of you that we're going to take the great ideas from all the candidates in this race. We're going to bring them into this great party. We're going to unify this party together, and we're all going to roll up our sleeves together to build this party. Thank you.
Alex Lasry is a DNC voting member from Wisconsin. He is at the midst of this DNC winter meeting in Maryland. He joins us now. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be here.
Bring me inside the room. You've been there all weekend. You've been talking with DNC members, Ken Martin 246, Ben 134. What happened here?
Look, this was a race with two great candidates, and it's always nice when the party has two great people to lead it. You know, I think Ben Wickler would have been an incredible chair, but we're going to be really lucky to have Ken Martin as our chair as well. And I think, you know, who are in a really tough spot are going to be the Republicans, quite frankly. I mean, we've got two Midwestern chairs who know how to win, who are going to be working to ensure that that we're winning all across the country. And while, you know, again, I'm, you know, very sad, you know, for Ben, I think Wisconsin has probably lucked out in making sure that he's back there, making sure that we do the job to win the Supreme Court race.
Alex, what's the mood among Wisconsin Democrats right now?
I think a lot of pride, right? Very proud of the race that Ben ran. And, you know, as someone who, you know, has run and been in this position before, you know, all you can ask is that you run a race that you can be proud of. And Ben ran a race that we can all be proud of, that I think everyone in Wisconsin should be proud of. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But Ben ran an incredible race, had a great vision, and I'm sure a lot of the things that he talked about are going to be incorporated in what Ken does at the DNC. And, you know, I know Chair Wickler is going to be there to help Ken in every way. All of us in Wisconsin are going to be there to help Ken in every way, because what's going on is bigger than what's happening in this room, right? We're electing a DNC chair, which is important. But what we need to do is bigger than just what's happening here. Now it's time to take the next step and ensure that we're working for the American people.
Alex, you were working the floor. I know we heard about all the endorsements, Jeffries, Pelosi, Schumer. Was this a rebuke on Democratic Party leaders and big donors in a sense?
I don't think this was a rebuke. I think, again, that just speaks to the incredible campaign that Ben ran, and one of the reasons why we're so proud. I think what it does show is the specialty of Ken Martin, and why we're really lucky to have Chair Martin as the new DNC chair. And I think it just speaks to the incredible talent that Democrats have all across this country, and why I feel so confident about the future of this party.
Ben Wickler's term as state party chair is up this summer. What do you want to see in his future?
Look, Ben's got an incredibly bright future, and I think that's something for him and his family to make that determination. The one thing I do know is that Ben's not going to leave the fight. That's not who Ben is. That's not who he's ever been. He cares about this party. He cares about this state, and he cares about this country. And so I hope Ben takes a mini vacation because we've got a state Supreme Court race that we desperately need him for. But I hope he takes a little vacation, takes some time to be with his family, then gets right back at it. And I know that no matter what he plans to do, it's going to be to make sure that that this state and this country are going to move forward. And I feel more optimistic about the future of this country because of people like Ben.
Alex Lasry, a DNC member from Wisconsin, out at the DNC meeting in Maryland. Alex, hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Coming up, the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, new raids nationwide, including in Chicago, some arrested, now detained in Wisconsin, inside the state's only ICE detention facility, next.